Privilege, privilege, privilege. God, I hate that word. White privilege, thin privilege, male privilege. To me, it sounds like people that throw privilege around on social media are jealous of everyone who doesn't have the same exact life that they do. So like, feminists whine that men have privilege over them because they're jealous of some things that men can do that they can't. Minorities complain that white people have privilege over them because white people supposedly can do things that they can't do. We know they're not talking about regular day-to-day life, like being allowed to go in a store or being allowed to live in a certain place. They're talking about that whole systemic racism crap where they're like, white people are in power and they're oppressing me, and as a minority I have to whine about it because I'm oppressed. It makes my head spin and I don't like it. I think that's part of the reason why Americans feel so divided, is because we keep throwing these words out of jealousy at each other, and then you just like outrage react on places like a hobby group. You know, I cross-stitch, and I never would have fucking thought that wokeness would have anything to do with cross-stitch. But apparently, I don't know, they cross-stitched a pattern of some nonsense that said white privilege on it, and someone else said something about, like, white fragility, and I'm just like, what the fuck are these terms? And the fact that they put white in front of everything, I'm just like, that's really racist. What are you talking about? So I decided to do some research because I wanted to understand what the fuck was going on, but then I also wanted to see like how I could stand up against this crap, because it was really just putting a damper on everything that I enjoy. First, Robin DiAngelo, which I watched her video on deconstructing white privilege, and she basically just sounds like a racist. Because she thinks that because she's white, her white skin makes her able to do all kinds of things that whatever, and it's like, what are we even talking about? So then I also watched something where two different places, PragerU mentioned like a list or something of white privileges or whatever, and then Jordan Peterson also said something about white privilege was started by an opinion piece from someone, and I was like, what? So we're basing this concept of white privilege that some people are taking as truth, but it's somebody's opinion? Like, opinions are not facts. Okay, so I went and found this stupid list. It's 50 items that a woman named Peggy McIntosh decided to write down in 1988 of white privilege, of how her skin color makes her better than everyone else. And I'm just like, racist much? So the white privilege people, and by that I mean the people that are taking this term seriously to bully the rest of us, just like the term anti-racist, are being used by people whose behavior is incredibly racist to tell us that we're being racist. Mental gymnastics, which I'm probably gonna have to use in every fucking video that I make about this shit, because my mind goes crazy until I write stuff down, and then it's like this cycle of racism. Like, whatever word they use, it ends up at racism, because I don't know why, but I guess they want to create a racist world. When we were all completely fine just being equal, but that's bad now apparently, so, you know. White privileged people are telling you to be racist, so stop listening to them because they're idiots. I decided to go through them to see if any of them are actually privileges based on someone's skin tone, which I highly doubt, but we'll go look at this.
I can, if I wish, arrange to be in the company of people of my race most of the time.
Doesn't everyone get to do that? Doesn't everyone get to choose who they want to hang out with? What is she talking about? So as far as I'm concerned, everyone has this privilege. I mean, Howard University exists. It's a private, federally chartered, historically black university in Washington, D.C., and it was founded in 1867. So it's predominantly black. In that sense, wouldn't those black students who applied to Howard, wouldn't that mean they arranged to be in the company of people of their race most of the time, like while they were in college? I think that's true. So black people have this privilege. Chinatown, Koreatown, whatever other town. So Chinese people have this privilege, Korean people have this privilege, like, so number one is false, because you, as a person, whoever you are, whoever you want to hang out with, you can do that. You don't have to be white to do that. You can do that. It's number two, and I'm already tired because this is garbage.
I can avoid spending time with people whom I was trained to mistrust and who have learned to mistrust my kind or me.
What is that? Okay, first of all, who is training you to mistrust certain groups of people? Because they were probably racist, so you probably shouldn't listen to them because that seems rude. Like, my mother never, like, sat me down and was like,
okay, Veronica, I'm gonna train you to mistrust these people.
Who does that? No one does that. Except for cult leaders. Cult leaders do that. Like Scientology, they go, okay, Scientologists.
You gotta mistrust everyone who's not a Scientologist, okay? Because that's how you're supposed to live your life.
Right? Does that sound like a privilege? That sounds stupid. Like, so that's dumb because that's not a privilege. That's like a racist phrase. But then again, if you look at it, she says, I can avoid spending time with people. So it's like everyone, again, has this privilege. If you don't want to hang out with somebody, you don't have to hang out with them. Why is this not, like, common sense? Like, you can pick and choose your friends. It's fine. Like,
if I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of renting or purchasing housing in an area which I can afford and in which I would want to live.
So she's saying she has the privilege to live wherever she wants, pending she can afford it, and pending that she wants to go there. I don't think that's a white thing. I think that's a financial privilege thing. If you have money, usually you can buy a house as long as you buy one that you can afford, and you can pick wherever you want to live. If you don't have money, it might be a little more difficult because you might have to go get a loan, which banks get mad at you if you don't make enough, like, meet their monetary criteria to get a loan, so then it might be a little more difficult. This, to me, just seems like financial privilege. Let's just be honest, you know? I looked up some famous black celebrities that they have money. They can live wherever they want. Eddie Murphy lives in Beverly Hills. It's pretty fancy. So I don't know what she's saying. Like, she thinks that white people get to live wherever they want just because they can afford it. Anyone can live wherever they want if they can afford it. Like, if this were true, they would have turned down Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills because he wasn't white.
I can be pretty sure that my neighbors in such a location will be neutral or pleasant to me.
Okay, so she's saying, based on number 3, if she lives in the place where she wants to live, her neighbors will be nice to her. Now, again, I think this is financial privilege, because if you live in a neighborhood like Beverly Hills, where everyone has a fancy house or whatever, pretty sure most people who live there are gonna kind of have the same set of values where they're gonna, like, value their property and like want their neighborhood to be nice, and so of course they're gonna like be nice to everyone because they don't want their neighborhood to be shitty. Ugh.
I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed.
Now, I don't know how true this is. I know we hear it all the damn time because I think people are just parroting off each other like,
oh, they said that I get followed all the time.
So then when they go to the store, they like get all paranoid and think that people are following them just because somebody said that there's a higher likelihood that they'll be followed all the time if they're not white. So then they have this like bias, to use their fucking word against them, that store owners are somehow targeting them or something, even if it's not true. I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard of people saying this, but again, I don't know how much of it is based on the narrative of them being paranoid because they heard it somewhere, or if it's actually happened to them. So I think of examples where somebody would be followed and harassed, even if they were white. So like if somebody came in and they had like a huge like swastika tattoo on them and they were like, they looked like they might be mean to someone or steal something, or they look like they have an intention that they want to cause some harm, then, you know, I would hope the security guard would at least be keeping an eye out on this person. I'm saying that if a white person did suspicious things, they would also be harassed or followed because they're being suspicious, which I think is the source of why somebody gets followed or harassed in a store, not because of their skin color. If somebody goes into a store and they have really baggy like sweatshirt and pants and stuff, you know, shoplifters, sometimes they take little things and they like shove them in their pockets, or they even shove them down their pants, which is really weird, but it's been done. So it's like the likelihood that somebody's wearing that kind of stuff to the store, they might steal something. I mean, I think that would be fair to assume that you should maybe keep an eye on them, right? I don't think that's racist. I think that's just common fucking sense.
I can turn on the television or open to the front page of the paper and see people of my race widely represented.
I made a video about this similar topic. It's about representation and all the like quotas and stuff. So I'll put that in the description box below. You can watch that if you want to. Otherwise, I will mention stuff here, but I'm not going to go into like huge detail about it. But I always emphasized that when I was watching things on TV, I didn't give a flying fuck what the person looked like. I was looking at the storyline, I was looking at, you know, maybe the cinematography, or just like, their race wasn't important to me. And if they inspired me, it's because they did something inspirational. And I don't know why this is such a foreign concept to people, but every time I hear "look like me" on TV, I kind of get a little pissed off because who cares?
When I am told about our national heritage or about civilization, I am shown that people of my color made it what it is.
Again, who cares? If someone did something great to advance society, I applaud them because it is because of them that I am able to even record this on my phone and upload it to the internet, which even exists. Like all of the stuff that I have, lights, this green screen, like flags. People invented things that I like, that I can take advantage of now in modern society, and I don't have to go fucking trying to spear fish to eat food because somebody was nice enough to create a grocery store where I could go and buy food and cook it at home and not have, like, the modern conveniences that we have are what I appreciate. I could give a poop who created it. Does it really matter who invented the grocery store? I just like that it exists. I don't think it's a privilege. I think Modern society is a privilege. Civilization is a privilege. The internet is a privilege, but it has nothing to do with skin color.
I can be sure that my children will be given curricular materials that testify to the existence of their race.
What? Okay, I was lucky enough to go to public school when they actually taught history, so I know about lots of other people. Like, I know about Native Americans because they were teaching about when the Pilgrims came to America to settle, and then they met the Indians at some point, and, well, Native Americans, but because Columbus thought he was in India because he didn't know how far the world extended, because the world was huge, is huge, he mistakenly called them Indians because he was trying to find actual India, but he found other people, and I know about them because they wrote about them in my history book, so I know Native Americans exist, and I was given curricular materials in school that testified to existence of other than white people. I mean, there's other examples. There's like, I learned about World War II, so Japanese attacking America with the Pearl Harbor, so Japanese people exist. Slavery in American history, so I know Africa exists and African people existed. What does she mean? Obviously, white people are going to be in the curricular materials too, but it's like, she thinks that only white people are written about in history. Like, she doesn't think that other people are written about in history, and what? So, yeah, that's not white privilege, that's just a good history book.
Okay, if I want to, I can be pretty sure of finding a publisher for this piece on white privilege.
So she's saying that even though her piece is garbage, she can find a publisher that'll publish it because she's white. Like, Toni Morrison, who is a black author, won the 1988 Pulitzer Prize for one of her books or some of her books. I don't know. I didn't do that much research into it. But the fact that she was able to get the Pulitzer Prize means that prior to her getting the Pulitzer Prize, it meant that she was able to write books before 1988 and get them published, and she's black, so clearly getting your book published is not white privilege, idiot. Also, I looked up the publisher that publishes Toni Morrison. They're called Vintage Books, and they also publish a man, I believe, named Ha Jin. He's a Chinese descent person. He has books there. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who's Colombian, also has books published. Not white privilege.
I can be pretty sure of having my voice heard in a group in which I am the only member of my race.
Go to a group that doesn't like white people, be the only white person there, and see if they'll let your voice be heard. Try it. I don't think that a group that lets the only white person talk is about white privilege. I think that means that is a polite group that lets everyone talk. And just because you happen to be the only white person there doesn't mean that you have white privilege. It just means you have managed to stumble into a kind group. And so the more that I went through this list, the more I realized that this person is just being racist or crazy.
Like, all of these things are only things I can do because I'm white. Like,
that is not true.